Welcome to The Sovereign Shift, the podcast for women ready to reclaim their voice, their nervous system, and their power in a world that demands they stay small. I'm Chelsea Eden Dubois, founder of The Sovereign Shift, creator of Woo Breathwork, and your guide on this breath-led journey into sovereignty of self, system, and spirit. Each episode, I sit down with powerful women, thought leaders, everyday revolutionaries, and allied voices to explore the real, raw, and radical path to embodied sovereignty. We talk about stress, burnout, addiction, motherhood, balance, sexuality, leadership, and breath-led spiritual awakening. And yes, we go deep into all things woo, the divine feminine, altered states of consciousness, intuition, ritual, and the parts of womanhood that have been exiled or dismissed as too much by patriarchal systems. Here, truth is medicine, breath is power, and your sovereignty, non-negotiable. Let's begin. Today's guest is someone who embodies the intersection of magic and mastery. So Katrena is the creator of the Business Witch, where intuition meets strategy and soul meets sovereignty. And in a world that often tells women to tone it down, she teaches us how to turn it all the way up. Katrena, welcome to The Sovereign Shift.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. Thanks so much for joining all the way from Australia. So, who is Katrena beyond the business?
Oh, probably I'm 56 now. So my first spiritual awakening happened when I was in a car accident. And when I was driving to work one day, very light rain, nothing spectacular. And as I approached these lights, I looked over at this Pajero that was on the opposite side of the road. She was going to turn across me, but my intuition said that she was going to go. And of course, she went for some random weird reason. And in the moment, as everything slowed down, as it does in a car accident, as it's generally reported, everything just slowed down, went really quiet. And in the outside of my head, so it definitely wasn't my inside voice, it wasn't my inner voice, which I know of, but this one was external. It was definitely on my right ear, and it said, relax and go with it. Like that specific, those specific words, relax and go with it. And as that happened, the car hit mine. There was some twirling involved. I could feel her hit my side. And then there she was over there, and I couldn't get out of the vehicle. And I remember this man coming and just shaking the side of the door and just somehow getting it opened and then picking me up in his arms and taking me out. And I remember just being slightly, my stockings were ripped. I could see that I had some little gashes on my legs and there was a little bit of blood there. But generally speaking, I think I was just shook, really. And then after that was in like November. By January, I had been paid out an amount of money, which completely cleared all my debts. And I remember my mother, who worked in the legal field, said this is unheard of. Like, this just never happens in such a quick amount of time. Wow. So there was that magic. There was the other magic of hearing the voice. And I'm like, what was that? What I learned subsequently about these sorts of things is humans decide that was a negative thing, like car accident, bad. But in fact, I think what happens is when you are not on path, you get put on path one way or the other. And for me, I think that was a trajectory adjustment. And what it wanted it to do is for me to stop focusing on my debts. Okay, we'll get rid of those. There, that's gone. You haven't got that as an excuse anymore. Hopefully you learnt some lessons from that. But here you go. That's now gone. Second of all, we'll reveal ourselves. So here you go. There's that. Good on you. Now, and it just taught so much in that one thing. And so now, ever since then, I don't deem things good or bad in that duality. There is always a higher wisdom to it all. And you often don't see it in the moment. Of course not. often in the moment you go, oh, I feel bad. I have to go to the hospital. I'm in an ambulance. My mother's coming up to collect me to see me in the hospital. You know, what's going to happen? And then when you look back and you start to unpack it a little bit from a psychological perspective, from a spiritual perspective, from an emotional perspective, from a physical perspective, you can start to piece those jigsaws together and realize that it was for your greater good. I was obviously off path. They did not want me on path. They wanted me back on path. And so there I was, jolted back. So that was like the first awakening that there was something else out there. And then at 25, I actually had a spiritual awakening where all the pieces got put into place and I could understand what I was doing here, what here means and what else is there. And I just have never forgotten it. And that one weekend where, again, nothing happens for no reason. I was a graphic artist at the time and I couldn't afford like any courses or anything in those days. In fact, those days my goal was to be able to buy whatever book I wanted. That was rich to me. And at that time, I couldn't buy whatever book I wanted. It couldn't do it. This lady said, you design a brochure for me. And while I was doing the brochure, I did my most beautiful work that I've ever done, I think, even to this day. And because I'm designing the brochure, I'm going deep into the material and realizing that I desperately want to go to this course. And I said to her, I can't afford to come. And she said, let's exchange. You've done the brochure for me. You come to the course. And there was a direct swap. And again, learning that there's not only one way. There's not only one money system. There is other money systems. And I fell in love with barter ever since, in fact. But the fact was I got to go this course. And again, the universe works in mysterious ways. It got me to do the brochure, the connection of that person, the connection with that material. It just fell into my lap like that. Now that, to me, is magic. And that's what I'm trying to get out there with people, is that everything is magic and you can find magic in everything. It's not just about potions and witchy poos and tarot cards, as much as people that identify as witches, which is pretty much every woman should, in my view. I just think we're reclaiming that word back because it's been given over history a really bad name and a terrible connotations to it. And women have been programmed to repel against it. And I think what you can notice in witch talk and the movement across the world, that women are starting to reclaim it as the beautiful wise woman, the woman that is connected to cycles, the woman that is connected to nature. That's what a witch is. And if any woman loves nature, then she's a witch. She's working with the elements.
Yeah, 100%. I think that definitely women, and we, all of us with that visibility, that witch wound, we're still going through the cycles of healing from that and integration. And especially, it often feels in North America, some of those steps forward made for women's rights seem to also get clawed back every once in a while. And so it's really important, like you said, to reclaim a lot of these terms, because when you call someone a witch, like, it's a negative thing. And you're so right about us needing to come together and reclaim that as an in-group word, as a good thing, right? Like the wise woman, absolutely.
A witch, as per what attracted me to your work, was you're all about sovereignty. And I think when you're a witch and you're in that, you're embodied within that, not just dancing around in black clothes. When you're embodied
but that's
within,
okay too.
and that's part of it. Yeah, that's all part of the fun. But when you're embodied in that, you actually are sovereign, and you're not waiting for external validation. You're not waiting for anything. You actually have the magic to create that reality for yourself, and you believe you have the power. So instead of being the victim of a system, instead of being a victim within a women's rights or pay gaps and all of that sort of stuff, that all exists in a certain reality. Whereas for us, it doesn't exist in our reality. We create our destiny. We create our pay. We create the life that we want to live. And that's magic. That's what it is. It's intention. It's being able to work with energy to, for one thing, get what it is you want.
Yeah.
but it's not always just that selfish. I think people think, oh, me.com. It's not about me.com. It's saying that our one and only job is to learn and grow. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the meaning of life, is to learn and grow. So how are you as a person doing that? And that's what, sovereignty and embodiment is all about, is how are you going with that learning and growing? And people like you and I have been learning and growing very deeply and very proactively. And that's what I call an awakening. That's what I call spirituality. That's what I call an activated lifelong learner. They are only 10% of the world's population, actively
Wow.
on purpose, with intent, doing what it is that they want to do to learn and grow in this lifetime, in this experience now. Because when we die, they're going to go, how did you go?
Mhm.
And you're going to go, I went great. I learned and grow, and I learned and grow. I learned and grew. I did it all. And great, you did the purpose of meaning of life.
Right.
Now, the purpose of life is how do we do that that helps others? And nothing exists in this world that doesn't actually help others learn and grow. So it wouldn't exist. So I always like to think spiritual people think they're pretty special, and they're like, oh my God, so amazing, vibrational levels and frequencies and all this special stuff. A garbage collector is doing the purpose of life, and that is to help others. Without garbage collectors, we are nothing. We would have garbage piled up to our ears and we wouldn't be able to function. So garbage collectors are some of the best gurus you could ever imagine. So we're nothing special. Garbage collectors are just as important as what we do. It's just we see our work as a lot more sexy and exciting and sparkly, but it's not true. Everything exists in the reality that we've created, and it wouldn't exist for very long if it didn't help others.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nobody would buy anything.
No, absolutely. And so when you came to your awakening, like how different was your life from before to after in terms of once you embraced that personal sovereignty piece and really started to lean into that embodiment aspect of whatever work you were doing? Because I think we do regular day-to-day jobs and all that good stuff, and we can feel really disconnected from our authentic selves, our spiritual selves, when really the work is the mundane stuff, the day to day, but doing it from that place of sovereignty. So tell me a little bit about that part of your journey.
I don't know about you, but most of us sort of spiritual types are often considered quite empathic and quite sensitive, and I was no different. I lived a life of nerves. I was a bundle of nerves. I was a bundle of worry. I couldn't believe how cruel the world was. I couldn't understand how children were dying of starvation, let alone what I know about the world now. But in those days, I knew the world was bad, but I didn't realize how bad it actually was. I was quite naive. But anywho, that's what changed. And so when you have this spiritual awakening, you stop worrying about and focusing on and wasting your life worrying about all the things you can't control. You may spend a little bit of time on things you have influence over, but really, not always do you have a lot of influence over that thing. Now, my argument to people is, oh, the war here, oh, this, oh, that. And I go, yeah, and what are you doing about it? Nothing. You're just worrying about it. You're just bothered about it. You just, while you're holding your Chardonnay on the couch watching CNN, you're having your comment, and that absolutely changes nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely nothing. So if you're that bothered about something, then you're on a plane over to help it, support it, get involved with it, and add your energy to it. Until then, everyone needs to just shut up because they're not doing anything about it. So when I had that spiritual awakening, I was able to stop and bring my energy in, bring it all in, and not focus anymore on what I can't control and what I can't influence. Because if my brain now works like that on autopilot, it will do an assessment of what I can control and what I influence. And if I can't do any of those things, then it's nil energy from me. And what I do is I put all my power, all my magic, all my energy into stuff I can control. And you can only control self, full stop. And you can only influence others. You can't control others. You can influence others.
Yeah.
So my question to my ladies who I work with is, how much influence can you grow when you bring back all that wasted energy from stuff you have no control over whatsoever, and start to work on what's in front of you? Because you've got to ask the question, why were you born in Canada? Why was I born in Australia? And why did we have this exact experience? And why are we living in this reality? Because this reality is very different from Gaza. Yeah. And if we were meant to be there, if that was our thing, our cross to bear, if that was our experience, then we'd be right there doing our thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're not there.
No, and we can't judge the journey of others.
Absolutely not. We have no idea on the complexity of these issues, and complaining and whinging about government doing this and that is a total waste of time, because it is what it is. They're doing what they're doing. They've been voted in to do a thing, and that's the end of it. Unless you're in government there to help it along, then you have no control or influence, except you could argue with one vote every 4 years.
That's right. Yeah. And that's why one of the reasons I fell in love with breath work was that it really brings you within, right? It's very much a nervous system focused practice. There's so many different modalities that really do that as well, that help you get into that personal sovereignty, not just mindset, but embodiment, right? Where you realize, as like you said, the only thing that you can control, full stop, is yourself. And honestly, coming at this world, living in this world from a place of nervous system regulation versus a place of dysregulation changes the experience so much. You always think that it's that mindset, that top-down piece first, and that has a place in spirituality for sure, but the more embodied that I get, the more regulated I get, the better able I am to actually participate in things that could make a difference, whether that's doing work with folks like yourself or clients or anything like that where you, just by being your wonderful, happy, regulated self, right, your joyous self, you're creating that ripple throughout the energy, the field, right? And you can't do that from a place of dysregulation. You can, but it's going to be the wrong kind of energy, right? You don't want to put that out. So people really don't think about the fact that you can do so much good just by working on yourself. And I know that can seem selfish to individuals with a certain mindset, but it's absolutely not, right? Change starts within. That's how we change the collective.
It's all you've got. It's only about you and your experience. That's it. That's all that it's going to be looked at, is how did you go? How did you go in this particular lifetime with this particular personality in this particular moment in space? That's all that matters. And yes, what they want us to do is be dysregulated and focusing on the right hand while the left hand is fucking you up the ass, kind of thing. You want to be really focused on what is important, and that is just bringing back to self, to center, and then doing your work from that point of centered groundedness. And I tell you what, it changed my life. I stopped the external and brought it in, and I've just continued my journey of over 25 years since then. And what a difference. Light and day, completely different.
Yeah, I bet. So what do you do then? What's part of your regulation practice or your nervous system regulation practice?
I think with me, it's ever since COVID, it's been wonderful stripping away all the energies that would be around me normally, and suddenly realizing actually what complete neutral is, with nobody else's energy around me. And I used COVID in a very specific way to discover what my neutral was. And so for me, everything is just always coming back to neutral. And if there's a high, the highs are lovely. That's joy and fun and happiness and all of that. That's fleeting. You can't be in that 24/7. Neutral is the game, I think. And then there's going to be drops of lows. And when people are not in neutral, they're in the drama cycle, the highs and the lows. And for some people, they're very dramatic. So high highs, low lows. Whereas people that have done the work actually live in an undulation. So most of the time it's pretty much neutral. There's little highs and little lows, but nothing too dramatic. And for the people that love drama, they think it's boring. So anything that's really quite boring, where it's just, oh my God, I'm happy, that's amazing, terrific, back to neutral. And then, oh my God, that's sad, that's terrible, oh, back to neutral. And it's just undulations. So in my mind, when I teach my course called Deep and Meaningful, the picture on the front cover is of this big wave. And so most people live on the shoreline of life with the waves crashing on them. And so they live this life of bang. But my argument is you got to get out deep. You got to get out into the deep waters because that's where the beauty is. And that's where you're undulating. There's still waves. There's still waves coming into shore, but we're not on the shoreline. We're not on the break. We're not on the break. And so that's my job, is to get people off the shoreline, out into the deep waters, find the meaning, get the aha moment. Once you've had the aha moment, you're back to neutral. It's all good.
Yeah. So so tell me a little bit about what services you provide, because you seem to have a very wide spectrum of beautiful offerings and things that you empower individuals to do. So do you want to talk to me a little bit about that?
So, Business Witch is all about giving people an opportunity to build their own personal brand. And 25 years ago, when I started it, I used to do group work. I used to tell everybody what it is that they need, in what order they need to do it in, and here's all the things. And I realized the work wasn't being done. They didn't know how to do it. It was too complicated. So I started to realize that you've got to do it for them. So I have a done for you model back in the day when done for you was not the go. And now what I love to see 25 years later is everybody looping back to done for you, because the online courses, when they looked at the stats, 75% of people didn't even open them. So online courses, while cheap, and you're left to your own resources, most people do not have the get up and go, the focus, the will to get in there and get it done. They just can't, especially with business. Business is something that's new to them, huge learning curve. And so I just feel that done for you, thank God, is back in fashion, and people have realized they can buy all the online courses in the world. It ain't going to help you if you don't open them. But because it only was a low cost, there wasn't a high value. So they just thought, don't worry about it. It's only $27. What I didn't lose anything. Or $97. Or then it got to $297, and then the huge. And so I did a done for you model, and I realized that I could get it all built for them so that we could get on to the actual doing very quickly. So now I've got it down to 90 days, where I build their, that you've got their book comes out, which dictates their brand, and then the brand dictates the website, and then the website dictates the social media. And then after all of that is built and locked and loaded, then we go into building their $10,000 signature program, which again, I believe needs to be live and needs to be one-on-one, because I don't want my clients going and building a $27 online program that nobody opens, because that doesn't help anybody. So right. I believe it's got to be one-on-one. It's got to be high-ticketed, because I think people are sick of it now. They just want to get the work actually done. And the way to do that is to do it live and one-on-one, but you pay for that privilege. So that my whole business model is one thing, one program. It's done for you. It's a 12-month program, handheld all the way. And that's been developed from a thick soup right down to a really rich sauce now. It's really developed and refined over decades and decades. And that is all done like magic. So that's why I call it the Business Witch, because everything feels like magic, because it's all magically happening around them. And they don't have to worry about the things that they shouldn't be focused on, because technically they're never going to be like me. It's taken me 30 years to get to this point and learn what I need to learn so that I can do it efficiently and effectively for people. And I love it. I've got this two brains, this creativity as well as this logic, practicality, technical part. So when you combine those two together, you create this incredible business mentoring program that people can have and just get it done so that they can get out there and start helping people and do their purpose.
Yeah, no, I love that. So your audience then for the Business Witch are primarily, I would be guessing, spiritual practitioners, spiritual entrepreneurs. Okay, wonderful. Yeah. There's a real tendency. It's difficult for some folks in that realm, right, to do the business aspect because they're very much up in the high consciousness, right? There's the 3D business stuff. It feels really icky. Yeah. And I love that you infuse your spirituality in the business itself. Yeah. So what have you seen trending wise with this within the spiritual entrepreneurship kind of online business realm? Because I know that online business has changed a lot. And so what are some trends that you've noticed as a practitioner yourself and as a business mentor?
I think the trend to watch is AI naturally. That's on the tip of everybody's tongue. And what AI is going to do is all the websites, all the social media, that'll all be done by AI. So the only thing that's going to matter is live and real and raw. That's it. And so people will start to treasure that. So the more you are one-on-one with people, the more you are live, and it can't be faked by AI, that bit, then that's what people are going to value. So you'll see this shift to a whole bunch of people saying, yeah, I want to build my business on AI because I don't want to do any work. Those people will build that business and certain people will be attracted to that. But for the rest of us who want to stay in touch with humanity, will want raw and real. And you're already seeing that trend. It started to happen quite a few years ago, actually, where people started to go live on Facebook, live on LinkedIn, and that you can't fake. You can fake yourself and do a avatar of yourself, but I think you can still tell. And plus, why would you want to? My argument with the coaching industry is that everyone wants to not touch you, not work with you. They want your money, but they don't want to touch you. Here's the course, ew, go away. Whereas I don't want that. I want to be with you. I want to handhold you. I want to help you. I want to mentor you when you need it in the moment. And so they all argue to me going, that's not very scalable. But I tell you what, it is very deep and meaningful to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to live my life in a very deep and meaningful way, connected to my people, connected to my peeps, connected to my tribe of people that love and need what I do. And I want to create businesses and help other women to do what I do, because that's how this started. Everywhere I went, every time I trained or spoke at an event, there was always one person that came up and said, I want to do what you do. Mm. And that's where it all started from, going, how do I do what I do? And I broke it all down, worked it all out, and realized that it was a thing that I could build for others. And the rest is history. But I'm just sick of everybody getting rid of everybody and not wanting to work with anybody. It's, God, I don't want to be with the people. Geez, yuck. And I disagree with that fundamentally. I think it's all about humanity and connection. And like what you said, quality long-term thought leadership. That's what we're building here.
Yeah, there's definitely a trend, right? Like with the internet and since COVID, that just that personal connection, nobody wants to pick up the phone anymore, right? They just want to text and that kind of thing. And I'm a victim of that as well, because it just becomes very habitual. It's so much easier just to talk via email or text or whatever. But yeah, you notice certainly a trend of people wanting to keep each other at arm's reach as we lose kind of the ability to even have conversations that go beyond a certain depth. Yeah, it's very interesting. And I especially love the work that you do as well. I have so much admiration for people who empower business owners, small business owners, women, spiritual entrepreneurs to have successful businesses online, because that is also helping them create additional sovereignty. From a financial aspect, from a marketing aspect, the fact that you're doing a done for them service means that they get that beautiful energy that you bring into your programs, and they don't have to use AI, right? Which is not always going to be a fit for everybody, depending on what their what their business model is, unless they just don't want to do any of the actual human to human stuff. And I really want to know, what has been your biggest success so far in your line of work?
The biggest success I've had, one of my clients is 8 years in working with me now. And what I love about them is they hit the $1 million revenue mark within 3 years, which is what I want for people. But most importantly, we created an industry category. And my business, when I look at that success and think, what other industry leaders can I create? What other industry bodies can I create? That's really often what I'm looking for, apart from individual personal brand businesses. I think what we can do is create industry bodies. And so my next adventure, my next project, and I've already sold my first client into it, is that I'm creating my own industry body for business mentors. And they're going to have my methodology, my brand, all my tools, everything that I do within my own business. I'm going to teach that. And then they're going to go off out into the world and do that. And so I'm going to create the next generation of business mentors, but off of my own model, which I've developed over a long period of time. So that's the next phase. So looking at the individuals, looking at the industry bodies, and then looking at the business mentoring / business coaching world and saying, hey, what if I let this cat out of the bag, this black cat out of the bag? And so I have, and I've got my first adventure, and we're going to adventure it together. And you always are best to do a pilot like that, where I'll get this person, they'll work with me, they'll get the best experience ever, because it's all going to be experimented on them, and we'll create the assets as we go. But pretty much everything's done. It's just, what else do I give them? What else do they need? We'll discover that as we go along. But I don't want to create mini me's. I think the whole point is I've got my genius zones and they'll have theirs. And so I'm going to have a look at how they do it compared to me, and what I think each person will probably own their specialty in the end, I would say.
Oh, beautiful.
That's my intuition telling me that. My experience.
And so it's a 90-day program. And so
it's 90 days to build the assets.
To build the assets.
And then you've got a business. It's all built for you. All the assets are there. After that, we move. The rest of the 12-month program is all about doing. So they go out and speak, they get their leads, they do their free discovery sessions, and I'm working with them on how well do they speak, how well do they coach, how well do they do the free discovery session. And it's all really doing and practicing and getting better and better at that, and going through their emotional turmoil, because I know exactly what they're going to be feeling at the time they're going to be feeling it. So I know the emotional, psychological barriers they're going to come up against. And part of my program is doing the therapy within the program. Because as we know, business is the greatest personal development you will ever do. And so I like to put the therapy and the spiritual work underpinning all of it.
Holy smokes. So I still can't believe you've had a client for 8 years. That's amazing.
Yeah, that is amazing. There's a few that are on their fourth. Yeah, I've got a few at the moment doing their fourth year with me. Just because once you've had me in your pocket administratively and strategically, it's hard to let go, I think. And others are very independent, and that's what I want for them. I want them to go, I'm so well trained. I know exactly what to do. I don't need Katrena, nor should I need Katrena. Just go do that. Just go do that, and then you'll evolve and change and pivot and evolve as you go along. And I want that for them. But other people just have the money, can afford it, and pop me in their little back pocket, and it's pretty handy to have, I'm sure.
So, what would you say is the biggest challenge that you encounter for women who are they're into spiritual work, they're a practitioner, an entrepreneur? What do you see as the biggest or most common challenge that your clients seem to run up against when they're just launching, they're just starting their journey?
The first one is that they never get started because women are very good at talking themselves out of everything, and they're not very good at talking themselves into anything, which means they completely don't live life filled with abundance and opportunity and
Yeah.
stuff because they're very quick to say, don't worry about it. So those people, I can be the greatest salesperson in the world. And when I see that happen, I'm not going to be an icky salesperson and talk them out of it. I think spiritually and psychologically, they're not ready. And I'm going to just leave them right there. Because what I want to see is for them to emotionally grow and realize that they had it there. The universe had provided them with their next teacher. Because once I get put in front of you, it's usually because you haven't been listening. When they find me, wherever they find me and however they find me, it's usually because they haven't been listening.
Hmm.
And so my job is to give them the kick up the ass that they need. And sometimes for spiritual people, they think it's all peace, love, and mung beans, love and light. And then I come in like Archangel Michael with my sword and go whack, whack. What the hell? You've been sitting on $1 million model and you didn't even know it. So it's my job to get them on path, and I am their car accident, as it were. And I don't make any apologies for that because there's too much permissive coaching, gentle coaching. You can have all of that. Go buy that. But
Hmm.
is it giving you the results and the outcomes that you're looking for? What I do here is we do action. We do action. We take action. We create it. And the done for you model means hold on, we're
Hmm.
going to build it one way or the other. We're building it. It's getting built. You're doing this. And so anybody that's a little bit scared of that and intimidated by that will often jump off the railway tracks before they even start. And I can cry into my pillow till the cows come home. I just assume that the universe tried. Their guides put them in front of me and my guides, and it wasn't this round for them. That saddens me the most, that women are so good. Congratulations, guys. Pat yourselves on the back. You've talked yourself out of your next evolution. Wow, isn't that sad? And then the other four psychological things that I work with is the people pleaser, the witch's wound, because they don't want to be seen.
Yeah.
Because in the past lives that we've had, we've been killed for
Hmm.
it.
Yep,
So
absolutely.
naturally, that's in our DNA. We understand that. So we've got to work on the witch's wound. We've got to work on the people pleaser because women have been bred to people please. And that is deep in our DNA,
Hmm.
please, because it kept us safe on some level
Hmm.
when we were children. But we're women now. We're witches now. It's time to let those things go. So there's a bit of work psychologically to be done on that. And then that ties into the inability to say no, assertiveness, and confidence. They're the three other things that I work with all the time, every
Hmm.
time,
Yeah.
guaranteed.
Yeah.
So they're all the things that women should be working on, whether they work with me or not. Just work on those things, and that'll clear probably about 95, 97% of it all.
Yeah, I see that too with the work that I do. I have a workshop coming up called Truth to Power, where it's talking about how in your fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, that in itself has your conflict or your stress style, whether you're avoiding conflict completely, if you're completely freezing up, or if you're one of those women that just lashes out. So that all comes back to that survival mode aspect. And you're right, nobody taught us to have hard conversations or to believe in ourselves enough that we could address the limiting beliefs like what most men do, right? They hear that limiting belief, they do it anyway. That's because they're empowered to do so by the rest of society. And you call it the witch wound, and I call it, because I work in communications, I call it the visibility wound. It's the same thing. It's
Same thing.
absolutely the same thing. So, yeah, it's a lot, and that again, that's where That nervous system regulation, that I am safe in my body, I am safe to be seen. Because one of my clients, she felt deep fear that she was going to be hurt. And through the work, just as you said, it has come out that there is a long lineage, past lives. We've got our earthly DNA, we've also got our star lineage, right? And the earthly DNA, yeah, it has long memories of just the pain of our bodies being raked over the coals and stoned for the truths and the healings and everything that was deemed too much by a patriarchal society. So yeah, it's what you're saying it just rings so true on so many levels. And collectively, this is why the work that you're doing is so important, because I don't think women are aware of it in themselves always.
Just imagine a world where every woman has her voice, and
Yeah,
imagine the
it'd
world
be a
where
different
every
world.
woman is in her power.
Yeah.
That, my friends, is where they don't want that to happen. And
Yeah.
they've done everything to make sure that does not happen. Because I tell you what, our power is incredibly big, and there's a lot to it. And they do not want that unleashed on the world. But unfortunately, the timeline has arrived. And they are getting very scared as the women rise up and find their voice and find their power and step into that and embody that. And God help them.
Yeah, indeed.
Scary time for
Nothing
them.
will
But
save you.
women continue to do your work, because as you can see from the world around you, there is an effect happening, and it is working, and they are going to have to regulate to it. It's not our job anymore to regulate to them. We are now the regulatory system. So the earth is supporting that to help us rise up, and here we come. Buckle up. It's
Ooh.
going to fantastic. I can't wait. And we're here on this planet to witness it. So we're here for the show, us lot. So
Yeah.
whoever's here on the planet at this time, enjoy the show, but we're all part of it. Every single little seed is all part of the bigger picture.
Yeah, so whoever's listening to this, if you've been thinking about starting that beautiful business or getting your gifts out into the world, that's why it's important, right? Because the more voices that we add to the chorus, the stronger it gets, the more people who are able to break down those limiting beliefs. And that's what I love about this work in general, just whether it's spirituality, business, it's all coming together. Like I work in communications, and communications is such a spiritual endeavor as well, right? There's such power in our voices. We cast a spell when we're doing what we're doing, we're exchanging energy. We have no idea where this is going to go, who's going to see it, who really needs to see it and hear it at this time. And it gave me chills to think about the what a different world it could look like when we have women empowering women, not just, you've probably seen this in the world where women can sometimes perpetuate the same styles of male leadership that they've seen, which is it's so sad when that happens, right? And but it's part of that survival mode. So oftentimes, like within leadership circles, it's about relearning what actual leadership looks like for women, because it's not the same as the bullshit that we've been fed for all our lives. So tell me a little bit about where you came from, like before doing the work that you did. So tell me a little bit about the industry that you were in and some of the things that you saw that made you want to go in this direction to empower women and business owners.
So my last job was
I love that.
was a long time ago, 25 years ago. And I was always that person that was highly motivated, a high performing, self managing person. You could just point me in the direction you wanted me to go, and off I'd go. The trick with managing me is stay out of my way. Don't micromanage me, because if you micromanage me or get in my way, I lose energy, I lose interest, and I start looking for the next role. And that's what I did my
Yeah.
entire career.
Here,
Is the
here.
minute I felt the energy drop, I would leave, and then the next one, the next ones. I I didn't know it at the time, from the time I started working at 14, lying about my age, saying I was 16. I've been working since I was 14. I love work. I love being of service. I love learning. So with every job, you're learning something new. And at the time, any HR manager or any recruitment agency would look at my resume and go, tut, tut, oh no, very bad. But when you look at where I ended up, it actually all makes sense because I've been in every industry, nearly every role, worked with every type of person. One of my roles just on its own was working with 70 consulting engineers. And just that one role for that short period of time, which I got sacked from, of course, gave me so much insight. One of my original jobs was working behind a bar. And I think to my mother's horror that I was working behind a bar, she thought it was terrible. All the other kids were going off to university, that not her daughter. She was ashamed to say she was behind the bar. But yet I look back on that opportunity and realized that gave me the gift of being able to deal with and talk with everybody on the planet. And I'm no better or worse than anybody else, but I had to learn how to manage people there and be able to get out of situations and get people moving along and get people out of the bar when it got bad. And so at a very young age of around 18, I was already dealing with grown-up adults who were behaving badly and having to traverse that world in a very mature way. And so I just look back on it all and realize that I've been everywhere, done everything, and it was all for a reason, because now it doesn't matter who walks in my door. I can lock and load into that psyche and work out what's going to be the good, the bad, and the ugly of this experience. And I'm going to be able to work with them and get the best out of them. And that, I think, is a gift. I think it's a gift. And not everybody has that gift. Some people have very rigid rules about who they like, who their peeps are, who they can work with. I don't know. I can pretty much work with most people. And the more quirky and the more weird, the more odd, the more interesting to me. I love quirky. I really do. And I think that's because I'm probably pretty quirky and I embrace it. I totally embrace it. And it took me a long time to come to that place of love. But yeah, I've been everywhere and done all of it. And I think that's a good thing. I think we need to embrace that.
Yeah. And how long did your journey since starting your business, as you said earlier, it's like the best form of therapy one can do. And it's very enlightening about yourself, ourselves. What's been the biggest personal challenge for you on this path?
It's the self-doubt. So my TED talk that I did last year in Houston was all about self-doubt. And what I realized about self-doubt, because I had it and everyone I worked with had it, and women seem to have so much self-doubt, it's pouring out of them for no reason. What I realized was that actually it wasn't about getting rid of self-doubt, because if we got rid of self-doubt, we'd be arrogant sons of bitches and no one would like us. So imagine if you had none, no self-doubt. You'd be like, oh, I can do that. I'm fabulous at this. I'm brilliant at that. And that's actually part of the problem with this new generation, is they're overly confident and they don't know what they don't know. They have no wisdom. They think they're great at something and we're all looking at them going, you have no bloody clue. Holy hell. So anywho, so I worked out that there actually is a way of harnessing self-doubt and using self-doubt in a really positive way. So I came up with this sort of a check-in compass type of analogy.
Oh, beautiful.
And if anyone's interested, jump onto, of course, YouTube and just Google TED Talk Katrena Friel and up it will come. And it's 10 minutes of your time where you can just get your head around it and stop wasting any more time on trying to get rid of it, clear it, because it's there for a reason. It's there so that we understand where our edges, if we need to know where our edges are and know when we're about to step over that and go into that. So my advice on the talk is to check in with your head, your heart, and your gut. Have a conversation with the triangle of that, and you'll find that your head will say all this information, important stuff, and your heart will say all this important stuff, and your gut will have an instant reaction to certain things, and then make a decision and then decide, rather than, oh, I've got self-doubt. Oh, I mustn't do it then. I'm too scared. No, the self-doubt, it just wants to have a conversation about it. That's all.
I understand now why all of your clients want you in their pocket.
I have an opinion on everything. I'm very opinionated. But that's only because I've been around for so long. That's all. It's just I've seen it all. I see the patterns now. Once you've been around for a long time, the patterns are really obvious and
Yeah.
the themes are really obvious. And now I can see through all the bullshit. It's just completely clean and clear to me what women need. And back to your original thought just before, where you said women need to stand up and find their voice. This is the whole thing, is if the women don't find their voice and don't stand up and speak, then they're actually not doing their bit. And so my job is to get the women to do their bit, and that is to share and teach, guide, coach, mentor, facilitate, train.
Yeah.
We do that on a number of levels. So in my model, I've got 7 streams of income. The first one is a book, so author, speaker, trainer, coach, mentor, facilitate, and consult. So within every single personal brand business is those 7 streams of income, which means that you can talk to different markets at different levels about your particular philosophy. And that's what I'm going to build for you, is your philosophy with 7 streams of income around it. And then that's your spaceship to fly around the earth in.
Wow. Yeah. I hope.
Without that, you're talking shit. You're not talking with a philosophy. You're talking about this and that. Nothing's positioned correctly. Nothing's packaged correctly. Nothing's priced correctly. That's my job.
Yeah, no, that's definitely such a great framework for building influence, especially nowadays. Having it laid out like that, the streams of income is so helpful and enlightening. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. And I think we share purpose in that way, because that's very much what I feel like my purpose is now, is to empower other women to speak their truth, to speak truth to power, especially when there's power imbalances. Because again, you're right. We all have a duty, a sacred one, actually. But that can be really hard to hear. That can be really hard to hear for some individuals. And it goes to the would-be clients, I guess, that fell off the train tracks. It's timing is so critical. When I think about the most of my life spent in silence and fear, there's a part of you on your spiritual awakening journey that goes through that initial phase of regret. Oh, if I had just done XYZ, I'd be so much further. And then you realize that's just another manifestation of ego trying to take your power away from the present moment. And yeah, I think the world of what you're doing, and I just think it's so beautiful. And I want everybody to know what you're providing people, because it's just so important. The people that amplify the voices, those are the ones that are laying the foundation for that next phase of humanity, for sure. And if it looks like business, that's okay, because we live in the 3D right now. We're here, and financial abundance is just one aspect of our ascension. Okay, so let's do a little bit of a lightning round. Sovereignty is to you in one word.
Sovereignty is inner peace.
Inner peace. Okay. And what's something that you've healed lately?
Lately?
Yes.
Oh, lately, self-doubt. When I was doing my self-doubt talk,
Okay. Yeah.
preparing, I've never felt more self-doubt in my life. It was fantastic to experience in the moment at such a velocity.
Yes. Teaching is the greatest way to learn, honestly. Like, I know people think that you should know all your stuff before you teach. It's not the case. It's absolutely not the case. Okay, what's on your altar right now?
Altar? Oh,
Yes.
peppermint oil. And I just bought a new desk for my spiritual room, because I'm going to move Business Witch and anything I do for Business Witch into my spiritual room, and I need a desk for that. So I've bought
Oh,
this 1820s German walnut elaborate desk, and oh my God, she's a beauty. And I just can't wait to redesign my spiritual room, my little witch's room, and get in there and do my work in there. So the energy is supporting as opposed to my muggle office here.
I love that so much. I wish I had two offices. That's amazing. Okay, and what's a mantra that you return to?
Feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yeah, I love that. I love
That's something I say all the time to everyone, because it's not like fear disappears. It doesn't disappear for me either. Whereas they think I'm fearless. I might look like I'm fearless a lot of the time, but it's not true. I feel the fear and just do it anyway, because on the other side is where the magic is.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I love that. Is there anything else that you feel called to share right now that I maybe haven't touched or we haven't touched on?
Oh, you've been a great, gosh, you're good at, God, gosh, you're good at this. All I would say is there's jump onto the website and organize a free discovery session so that you can take this conversation and everything that it's lit up inside of your listeners' minds. And this is an hour of my life I can't get back. So I'm not there to waste your time, and I'm certainly not there to waste mine, but I want to put it out there. And one of the first steps that women have to take is they have to learn to receive. Now, what most women listening right now will do is they'll say, oh, I've got nothing to talk to Katrena about. Oh, I wouldn't want to waste her time. Well, there you go. Congratulations, you've just talked yourself out of what I've considered to be a very generous offer. But for other people, about 10% of the listeners will actually go, oh my God, how amazing. I can't wait to spend a cup of tea time with Katrena.
Right.
That'll be amazing. And
Trust me,
let me,
it's fun.
yes, it's so fun. And just let me have a rummage about, because even though you don't have clarity or you don't know what it is your spaceship should be, let me show you what it could be, and let me inspire that thinking, because I go in, have a rummage about, I pull out all the clues I need, and then I glue it all back together and go, this is your personal brand. This is your field of excellence. And this is what I would build for you
So,
if you had the guts.
so people just they don't even have any idea of what they might be sitting on,
No,
like you said earlier, which
I have
is
no idea. That's
amazing.
normal. That's normal. And so
Wow.
do it anyway. Don't come to me with, I reckon I'm this and that. You can tell me those thoughts and ideas, but that will be part of the clue, and me following the breadcrumbs together to put it all together in my mind. That's my genius. My genius is within 15 minutes, I'll have that locked and loaded for you. And whether you work with me or not, I can show you what the future could look like for you very easily.
So do you do a discovery session for folks that just want to call and be or come to you and be like, show me what my magic is?
Who am I? What's my magic exactly? Just be curious. What's
Yeah,
the harm? What's the worst that can happen is I'll leave you the way you are. I can guarantee you that will not happen. You will
that's
be transformed.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So how can people find you? How can they find you online?
So it's Business Witch, but it's business-witch.com.au. Yeah,
I'll make
that's
sure this is in the show notes and all that good stuff. But
just jump on there, click on free discovery session, book in, and that's the end of it. We will catch up. Please don't waste my time. Please put it in your diary. Please be respectful. This is time that I prepare for energetically. Be respectful. If you're not going to turn up, please don't book. Those time wasters, those tire kickers, those people that just want attention. No, we don't want them, Chelsea. We want people that are just really genuinely curious to see what my rummaging about my magic can do with their magic. Let's see.
I love that. It's like a spiritual business reading.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. I love
Exactly
that.
like that.
Oh, beautiful. Oh my gosh, Katrena, thank you so much for your time. Oh, it's just been such a wonderful conversation and so inspiring. And my intention for this is that it, again, it reaches all those who are ready and who need a Katrena in their life and who want to get this beautiful spiritual business reading. What a beautiful offer. Yeah. So thank you so much for your time. I so appreciate it. And yeah, I will make sure that we put all of your info in the show notes so that if people want to get in touch with you, they'll be able to right away.
That'll be brilliant. And Chelsea, I'm sending you all my love for your big vision on your platform that you're trying to create. I've read up on all of that and it made me very excited to see. Now that's a big goal. You go, girl.
Thank you.
Also, too, it's been absolutely beautiful sitting in your energy. You are what I call a pure. So your energy is so pure and so light, and it's been so beautiful to sit in it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Katrena. Okay, have a wonderful rest of your day. Hopefully you get some rest.
Amazing.
Okay, take care.
Take care. Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for being here. If something stirred within you today, that's not an accident. It's a shift. To go deeper, visit thesovereignshift.ca, where you'll find breathwork audios, resources, mini courses, workshops, and programs to support your reclamation, body, mind, and soul. Like, follow, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and toss us a follow on social media if you're so inclined. And remember, your breath is your power. Your truth is your compass. Your sovereignty is the revolution. Until next time, stay sovereign.